Recording, y'all. Isn't that exciting? Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Heather Strazinsky and Danielle Rodriguez with Roundtable Realty. And today we are here talking to Chris Loudy with Patrick and Rains CPA. Welcome, Chris.
How you doing?
Good.
Welcome, Chris. Thanks for being here.
Not a problem.
So I think one of the most important questions is how's this whole COVID-19 affected the April 15th deadline of like the normal tax time?
Well, essentially what the virus has done is it's pushed everything back. I'm still busy. Unfortunately, what it's done is all of the federal returns that were due April 15th are now pushed back to July 15th. So anything that would have been due, your 1040s, your trust returns, your partnerships, anything that was due in that time frame are now due July 15th. So any of those returns that had balances due, those payments aren't going to be subject to any late payment penalties. You're still going to owe the balance due. That's just not going to get owed until July 15th. So you can, if you still owe money, you don't have to pay it until then. Any of those special contributions that you would have had to have been made for 2019 by the due date, such as your IRA contributions, any other retirement contributions, any of your HSA contributions, those kind of contributions you can still make by the new due date, which is July 15th. So that's something to keep in mind planning-wise for your 2019 contributions. The other thing to keep in mind is the traditional 2020 quarterly tax payments that would have been made for first quarter would have been made April 1st, or excuse me, April 15th. Since that payment went away, there was some limbo as to when it was going to be rescheduled. It actually did get rescheduled for July 15th. So now July 15th is your first quarter due date for the 2020. There was a quirk in there again for the second quarter because the second quarter was due June 15th. They've changed that one to July 15th. So your first quarter and your second quarter for 2020 are both due on the exact same date, July 15th. So it's going to be weird, but essentially you're going to have half of your balance due for 2020. For anybody who's doing quarterly payments, it's going to be due that first quarterly estimate. So the one thing to keep in mind there is anybody who does do quarterly estimated taxes, it's based on either 100% of your prior year taxes or on 90% of your current year. A lot of people are going to have a significant decrease in their income because of the effects of decreases in their revenues. Their portfolios are going to take hits. So that's something to keep in mind is, with their estimated plannings.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't know any of that. You're part of it, and that was about it. So the other big question everyone hears, and we've seen it all over the place, is where is my stimulus money?
Yeah, trust me, we're getting calls all the time about those. The direct deposit started last week. So if you've noticed your bank account, you should have gotten the direct deposit. That's typically anybody who filed the 2018 or 2019 tax return and qualified for a stimulus payment and had direct deposit, you should have already received that payment. Now, if you hadn't already filed your 2019 return, you should have already gotten the payment because you filed the 2018 and qualified. So there's certain individuals that, if you have an elderly client who, or taxpayer who wouldn't have otherwise filed a tax return, they're going to have to file a special tax return, and it's available out on the IRS website where you can go out there and just essentially let the IRS know, hey, I'm out here. I need to get, the stimulus check. So they'll do that. They have their direct deposit information through the IRS because they get their Social Security through direct deposit. So that's literally all they have to do is to file that form. Any taxpayers who have already filed 18 and 19 but didn't provide their bank information because they owed or just wanted to get checks, they can go to the IRS, and there's a special link out there on the website that allows them to enter that information out there. So they have to make sure to do that if they don't want to get the check. The issue with the checks are the IRS is limited in the number of checks they can issue at any given time. So it's going to take them a long time. We're talking like at least a month or two in order to issue out all the checks that have to be issued out. So the goal is if you are able to do direct deposit, you want to be able to do direct deposit. The other thing to keep in mind with those checks is not everybody qualifies. So if your income is over the threshold, which I believe it's $75,000 for individuals, $150,000 for married filing jointly, or there's certain other things out there such as if you've got a spouse that's a foreign taxpayer who's got a tax identification number, those kind of people don't qualify. So you got to keep that in mind. You're not automatically going to be qualifying for a stimulus check.
So can I ask a question that piggybacks on that? If, let's say you did file, 18 and 19, your taxes, and you do qualify for the check, but you owe in 19, would it cancel out? Or does one not have anything to do with the other?
Technically, you're not supposed to not get your check because the balance due on 19 is supposed to be due July 15th. So the whole point of the stimulus check is supposed to be, you're supposed to be getting this now to help you because you need it now. So the balance that's due on 19, even though you filed your 19 return now, you're not required to pay that balance until July 15th. So even though you filed that return, you're not required to pay that balance until July 15th.
Okay, very good. So what is a furlough and how does it affect the unemployment benefits, and is it helpful for people?
Well, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of furloughs right now. It's unprecedented what's happening with the number of people who are losing their jobs, who are being put on furlough. Essentially, what a furlough means is you've got employers who just are unable to currently, field their staff. It could be the largest one you're seeing right now is theme parks like Disney World. They had to furlough their employees. So you're talking 40 to 50,000 employees who they've essentially had to tell them, we can't, well, obviously they've got nothing for them to do, that we can't employ you. So what essentially a furlough means is you cannot work and you cannot get paid. You're temporarily on unpaid leave. It doesn't mean that you've been fired. It means that your employer hopes to rehire you, or not, it's not a rehire, to allow you to come back and work. Usually with a furlough, you get paid your health care benefits for a certain period of time. That's not always guaranteed, but it's usually what happens with a furlough. What is one of the things that is new with the CARES Act is it allows for individuals who get furloughed to qualify more rapidly for unemployment benefits. So usually if a furlough occurs, you don't actually qualify for unemployment right off the bat. But that's one of the things that they wrote into the CARES Act was, furloughed employees qualify sooner. So that's one of those, benefits that they did right in there. Typically with unemployment, you will get your benefits based on your previous salary. What they're doing now is they're also increasing those benefits by $600 a week for up to 6 months or 4 months. It goes to, I think, July 31st. The only issue there is with unemployment. There are so many people who are applying for unemployment right now that there's a delay in the benefits. So just usually when you have to go on unemployment, there's a delay in how soon you can apply, and then there's a delay in how soon you can get your benefits. So as soon as you're able to apply, you should go out there and apply as soon as possible.
Okay.
So question is, what is the Paycheck Protection Program and how does it affect businesses?
One of the facets of the CARES Act, which is the last law that Congress passed a few weeks ago, was the Paycheck Protection Program. One of the things that included relief, there was certain parts of it that included healthcare equipment, the stimulus checks, and there were some payroll credits. But the Paycheck Protection Program was the one you've heard about a lot in the news lately. It's where they've set aside $350 billion for small businesses to help keep employees on payroll for up to 8 weeks. There's limitations on how those funds could be used because they didn't want employers to be using them for bonuses. They didn't want them to be using them for other things. So there's a percentage they can use to pay their mortgage or their overhead. So it's designed to essentially allow them to keep employees on payroll. And as a requirement, they're not allowed to reduce their staff by a certain percentage of like 25%. The only issue there is it was gone within days.
All that.
So what they're doing right now is it's actually the Senate has already passed one half of the next bill, and the House is I think today they're in session. So there's potential they're going to pass another one. This one's got roughly about the same amount. I think $320 billion. So if a business were to qualify and has not done so already, they should contact their banks and CPAs and get the application process started. There's certain things you need to be able to verify. They're not just going to hand out free money. And they're going to make sure that you qualify. They're going to make sure that you have the ability to pay back this certain percentages of this loan. They're going to make sure you have the payroll capacity to be able to, they're not going to just hand you a couple, like $100,000s of dollars or whatever, if you don't actually need the payroll, to provide that.
Okay. All right. Well, are there any other options out there for business owners that might be helpful that you know of?
Sure. Unfortunately, as how quickly those loans went the first time, they're probably not going to last this time either. And so not everybody's going to qualify. So one of the other things that they had in the CARES Act was payroll credits. There's a couple of payroll credits, and one of them is a employer retention credit. So, that one is something that provides for any employer who provides payroll for their qualified wages. If they've been, their operations were fully or partially suspended due to the virus, they can provide a credit on their return for next year for up to 50%, up to $10,000 per employee. So it's a $5,000 credit for those wages. What that means essentially, it's like partially suspended means even if you're a restaurant and you're providing carryout, so you're closing the inside, so you can't serve to individuals inside of your restaurant, but you can do carryout. That's still cutting into your bottom line. But so that's partially suspended. So you're still providing some relief to your staff. That's a benefit to you. But if you're another business that, say you've got a storeroom and you cannot open up at all, you've been completely closed, but you are, paying your salary for your employees out of the goodness of your heart, this will be a benefit for you to be able to, help with that. Unfortunately, for self-employed individuals, you do not qualify. It's one of those caveats as government employees, self-employment individuals don't qualify. There's also a benefit for taxpayers who have payroll taxes. I think it's the Social Security portion of the taxes. Those can get deferred up to 2 years. It's, they don't have to pay that portion until the end of 2021 and the end of 2022. So it's a small portion of their taxes, but it's still something that they don't have to pay until now. So obviously there's more that's going to be coming out. This is the second bill in the last 2 weeks. There could possibly be more coming. So there's several resources out there. Our website, which is cpasite.com, we have a COVID-19 update link that has resources. We have client letters, frequently asked questions. We have YouTube videos. So, we have all kinds of resources out there. So there's plenty of information out there to keep everybody updated.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, Heather?
I don't think so. That was a lot of information.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is we will be saving this video. So you guys can go back and rewatch it as many times as you want. But Chris, do you want to give us your information so they can contact you for further details?
Sure. Like I said, I work with Patrick and Rains. Our website is cpasite.com, and my email address is chris@cpasite.com.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm working from home, so I don't have my phone can't really be a useful tool right now. But yeah, the email address chris@cpasite.com, and then like I said, our website is cpasite.com, and we have plenty of information out there to help anybody.
So they can contact you and get more answers from you.
Sure.
Perfect.
All right. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Guys, anybody watching this live, or if you catch it on the replay, like I said with all the others, share it, because you never know if any of this information might benefit somebody else. We'll also post this on our YouTube page so you can see it there. And thank you again, Chris, for joining us. And I guess that's it. That's another segment of Intro to You. I don't know what you want to call it, but we're here to help in any way that we can. Heather and Danielle with the Heather and Danielle team, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.